welcome back to Brashonomics. And, here we are on the eve of a football game, and there are a lot of different areas of football that you need to be good at, of course. There's offense, defense, and special teams. And a lot of people who watch football realize you really do need all three components in order to put together an excellent team. And that's what we hope the Seahawks do tonight. Joining me now, Glen Thiessen, Wealth Advisor with Transition Planning, Inc., who helps families plan ahead for the major transitions in life, and the investment advice and securities are offered through KMS Financial Services, Inc. Welcome back, Glenn. How are you?
Thank you, Ben. It's good to be here. It's always good to talk with you.
Oh, it's always good to see. There's not a ton of correlation, not a lot of things to relate to. But there really are three major parts of both of these. I just talked about, the offense, defense, and special teams.
Sure.
And, you had mentioned kind of three areas of financial planning that that are important.
It's really interesting when you look at all the players on the field and you see a lot of chaos going on. There's people and bodies flying all over the place, and it looks like a mass of humanity just going at it, right? But really, there are those three special parts of the players. Likewise, with a financial plan, you can actually get overwhelmed with all the different pieces and parts. You've got this and that here and there. It's like junk drawers, really. But if you break it down, let me just help you do that today in terms of three areas of the financial plan. There's the protection, and then there's the savings where we accumulate money, and then there's the growth, or the growth in income. In other words, where you want to multiply your money. So there's the protection, savings, and growth. Last time on October 2nd, I talked about the transfer of wealth away from you. What's working against you? Why can't you accumulate wealth? It's so difficult. Well, part of the solution is to recognize how to organize your finances like this. So, for example, in the protection drawer, there are three types of protection. Those types of assets that protect only your assets, those insurance policies like car insurance, homeowners, umbrella liability, they're one-dimensional. They only protect assets. Then you've got things that protect assets and income. Without your income, of course, the assets kind of disappear. So, for example, disability income, long-term care insurance, Social Security, the aspects of Social Security that protect your income.
And because we're on the football kick, is that like Aflac Duck that flies around during college football? Which one is Aflac?
Well, that, depending on what type of Aflac plan you buy, can protect assets and income, but it's not going to protect life. For example, when you want to protect assets, income, and life, then we're dealing with wills and trusts, ownership arrangements, like whether you own things in joint tenants or have a transfer on death arrangement, a beneficiary arrangement on your accounts so that you avoid probate. And then there's life insurance, which can actually replace your human life value, your economic value to your family. So you got to have that in place. So that protects the assets, the income, and your life. So there's those three levels of benefits. So that's the protection drawer. So rather than seeing a whole bunch of, I have all this insurance, I'm paying all these premiums, what does it do for me? Now you have a way of organizing that. Let's talk about savings really quick. This is where you're going to accumulate money. So, for example, first thing is checking and savings. We're looking for safety, and we're looking for liquidity. You're not going to get a lot of return on your checking and savings and money market accounts, but you're looking for safety and liquidity. Know what you're looking for and know why you have that asset there. Then you've got safety and yield. That's the next step up. You're not going to, if you want a little bit better yield so that you have more dollars in the account later on than in a checking and savings, then you look for savings bonds, CDs. Those are examples of tying your money up a little bit longer, but you get a little bit higher income or interest as a result. So again, we're looking for safety. Now we're looking for safety and yield. How about safety, yield, and tax benefits? So here we introduce like IRA accounts. You want to look at how can you use tax deferred investments, tax-free investments, and tax-deductible investments. Now, that's where you get into tax benefits. Like, for example, tax-free would be like your Roth IRA. A tax-deferred would be like an annuity account, paying you fixed interest or variable annuity account. Thing is you're not paying tax as you earn it, so you have more in the end. You don't have to share it with the government along the way, but in the end you will. It's tax deferred until later on. Tax deductible would be your IRA, your 401k plan. What can you put away now that is actually a write-off to save you current taxes? You see, so that's the tax benefits drawer of your savings. In other words, this is again where you're accumulating money. You're not multiplying it. Let's move into the multiplication of money. This is your growth drawer. In that area, we want to have income assets. Like, for example, you've got corporate bonds, government securities, government agency bonds. You've got municipal bonds for tax-free income, that kind of thing. So you're looking for income, which is a little bit different than just accumulating interest in an account that's there for liquidity and safety, right? And then you've got income and growth assets. Here you're looking at preferred stocks, utility stocks, value stocks, mutual funds. These are paying dividends and possibly interest and capital gains. So that's the income and growth drawer. Let's talk about income growth and tax benefits, or in some way you can look at this as write-offs, tax write-offs. Like, for example, collectibles. If you buy collectibles or you have a hobby of some sort that can actually allow you to own assets that can appreciate, perhaps even give you income when you sell those assets down the road, but you might actually be able to write off
like
the
eBay
expenses.
money.
There you go. Yeah. So if you can write it off, like, for example, cattle feeding, breeding plans, you've got oil and exploration, you've got real estate, different types of things that can actually give you appreciation, income, and tax
signed
benefits.
Footballs and baseballs.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, collections, right?
Yeah.
So stamps, coins, that kind of thing. So that's a quick way of organizing your protection, savings, and growth, your financial assets in a way where you can look at it as levels of benefits. What are you getting? Every asset has its unique set of benefits and risks.
So you talk about all these different drawers, and I know that when I tried to do my own mortgage, which is the hardest thing in the world to separate yourself from the transaction or a plan,
right?
And all of a sudden it's like, how much money do I make? You can't even figure out how. It's a difficult thing because you're emotionally involved with your own money.
Right.
When you start working with people who have money and they have, everybody kind of has these plans. Maybe the drawer is empty, but the drawer is still there.
Right.
How hard is it for somebody to do this and organize it all on their own versus have somebody help them?
It's pretty difficult unless you take, the recording of this program and take what I wrote, when I
Buy
said.
a desk.
Yeah, well.
For the proverbial drawers.
It's interesting, growing up, you'd have these little envelopes. This is for, clothes. This is for, whatever, toys, so in a way, it's doing that same thing. It's organizing your...
You were much more organized than I was.
Oh, well, it helps because then you know how close you are to that goal.
Sure.
So anyway, the reason that I wanted to organize things in this way today is because on November 20th, when I come back again, what we're going to do there is we're going to actually take this information and talk about the 9 different kinds of money and how can you use that to increase your wealth. So we're going to look at reducing taxes, lowering expenses, and managing your assets in a more efficient way to increase your wealth potential. See, so it's being aware of how it's stored now. How can we make improvements on that? That's what I'm going to cover on November 20th.
That's great. And we are here with Glen Thiessen, wealth advisor with Transition Planning, Inc. So, Glenn, when you start looking at, again, all these different factors, and, you've been coming on for a year and a half or something now, and always coming with so much great advice, it would seem that it would be almost impossible, at least by my standard, for me to do this myself or for somebody to go through this and really understand what they're doing. I mean,
Right.
I know a lot of people like to go on maybe E-Trade and,
Sure.
try to prospect for some really good stocks. But,
Sure.
but when it really comes to a comprehensive plan,
Right.
I mean, is
It's tough.
it even possible?
Well, I think it's very difficult because you have life to deal with. You are focused on your own career. You've got crises happening, this and that to distract you from your, focus on your financial plan. So if you have a way of just working with someone to check in with, touch base with, say, hey, how am I doing? Can I make an improvement? Where can I make an improvement? Somebody to suggest something to you, help you along. That is so beneficial. So that's the kind of advice and help that I give. And as a matter of fact, when you have your discussion question later on, we'll be talking about how can I provide a better service for people to help them with their financial plan.
Yeah, it seems like it is one of those things, and you brought it back to kind of that football place where you have a lot of people. You have 22 guys running around on a field, and I guess sticking with the football analogy, it only takes one lineman to break down, and the quarterback gets sacked, and then the whole play is dead. Or on the flip side, I guess if you organize it right, you could have one breakaway touchdown that solves a lot of the financial problems, but you still have to have that line that's protecting the quarterback to make it all work.
What would you do? What would the team do without the coach? There to design the whole strategy, right?
You'd have to ask the New Orleans Saints, who head coach got suspended all year, and they didn't do much.
It helps to have a good coach.
It does, absolutely. Well, somebody to pull all the strings and the X's and O's of not only football, but also finance. Hey,
That's
Glenn,
right.
Thanks so much for joining us. We do have to go to break. Again, Glen Thiessen, Wealth Advisor with Transition Planning. When we come back, another transition a lot of people go through is downsizing. Katie Munoz will join us, owner of Moving Forward, a company that assists with moving and downsizing. We'll be right back after this break.